The film Home Improvement not only provided laughter, but also left a lasting impression on viewers with unforgettable characters like Tim Taylor, the repairman, and the mysterious neighbor Wilson. But what happened behind the scenes was truly shocking. Rodney Dangerfield died in a coma after heart surgery. Rocco had a criminal past before dying from illness. And many other actors also experienced heartbreaking tragedies. Join us as we uncover the truth and celebrate the legacy they left behind. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Earl Hindman as Wilson W. Wilson Jr. Do you remember the mysterious neighbor with the familiar hat, kind eyes, and half his face always hidden behind the wooden fence? That's Wilson W. Wilson Jr., the wise neighbor who always appears at the right moment to offer insightful advice to Tim Taylor and his family. The man who breathed life into this character was Earl Hindman, who transformed Wilson into an unforgettable television icon by the age of 49. Earl Hindman was born on October 20, 1942, in Bisbee, Arizona, into a humble working-class family. His parents, Eula and Burl Latney Hindman, worked in the oil pipeline industry. From a young age, Earl showed a passion for the arts and studied acting at the University of Arizona. It was there that he laid the foundation for a career spanning over 4 decades on stage and screen. Before becoming Wilson to millions, Earl Hindman was already familiar to the public through his role as Bob Reed in Ryan's Hope. He also appeared in several popular films such as Pelham 123, Parallax View, Silverado, and 3 Men and a Baby. Notably, Hindman often played villainous roles in horror and thriller films, a stark contrast to the warm Wilson persona that audiences loved. In 1976, he married Molly McGreevy, his co-star in Ryan's Hope. Their love was simple yet enduring, lasting 27 years until his death. Molly later gave up acting to become a Methodist priest, while Earl quietly continued to contribute to the arts. But fate dealt him a cruel blow: lung cancer. On December 29, 2003, Earl Hindman passed away in Stamford, Connecticut, at the age of 61. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at approximately $2 million, a modest sum compared to the enduring intellectual and cultural legacy he left behind. Dick O'Neill as Art Leonard. In the series Home Improvement, Art Leonard, the friendly but sometimes eccentric neighbor, provided viewers with humorous and relatable moments. The role of Art Leonard was played by Dick O'Neill, who took on the part at the age of 70, a veteran actor whose life and career deserve reflection. Born in New York City on August 29, 1928, Richard Francis O'Neill grew up during a turbulent period in America. His youth was shaped by years of service in the Navy, driven by a desire to both defend his country and pursue the theater he so deeply loved. After leaving the military, he began his acting career at the prestigious arena stage, then moved to Broadway, and finally to film and television. Dick once shared that he spent years auditioning arduously and living frugally in glamorous New York while waiting for his chance at recognition. His private life was also filled with quiet sadness. After his first marriage to Dina Harris ended in heartbreak, he found lasting love with Susan Jacklin, also known as Jackie Shaw. They met while working together on the musical The Sound of Music and were together for nearly 35 years. Just as his career was stable and his family life was fulfilling with 3 daughters, Dick faced a silent enemy: heart disease. In his final years, the disease gradually eroded his strength, but he continued to work quietly, participating in the Academy Awards Film Selection Committee, taking on small roles, and always maintaining an optimistic smile to mask his daily suffering. Colleagues recalled how Dick always maintained a professional attitude on set, even when he occasionally needed rest due to exhaustion between scenes. On November 17, 1998, Dick O'Neill died of heart failure in Santa Monica at the age of 70. His net worth is estimated at around $3 million, a modest figure compared to the spiritual and artistic value he left behind for the arts. Tom Poston as Ned. You probably remember Ned, the kind, somewhat clumsy neighbor who always made audiences laugh with his hilarious mishaps, right? Although his role was brief, it contributed to a fun and engaging story. When he appeared on the show in 1995, Tom Poston was 74 years old, a veteran artist of American comedy and television with a career spanning nearly half a century. Tom Poston was born in 1921 in Columbus, Ohio. Before discovering his passion for art, he experienced a difficult youth. He served as a paratrooper pilot during the historic Normandy landings in World War II and fought in North Africa, Italy, France, and England. He rarely spoke of the war years, but they left him with emotional scars that only the stage, laughter, and love of his audience could heal. Returning to civilian life, Tom Poston dedicated himself to the arts, becoming one of the most familiar faces on American television. From The Steve Allen Show, which earned him an Emmy Award, to The Bob Newhart Show, Newhart, and many other hit sitcoms, Tom became an icon of charm, humor, and warmth. Even in his brief appearances as Ned in Home Improvement, he left a lasting impression thanks to the unique spirit he brought to the character. But behind the laughter he shared lay a personal life tinged with sadness. Tom had endured 3 marriages filled with heartbreak and loss. The greatest pain came when his beloved wife, Kay Hudson, died of ALS, leaving a void that nothing could fill. And when he finally found happiness in his later years with Suzanne Plachette, his former co-star and confidant, old age and illness began to erode his health day by day. In his final years, Tom battled respiratory illness and many age-related health problems, gradually leading him away from the stage, though his heart always remained with acting. On April 30, 2007, he passed away at the age of 85 in Los Angeles. His net worth at the time of his death was estimated at approximately $5 million. But Tom Poston's greatest legacy was the laughter and fond memories he brought to audiences everywhere. Morgan Gilbert is Wilson's mother. It's no coincidence that every time Morgan Gilbert appeared on screen, even in small roles like Wilson's mother in Home Improvement at the age of 65, she left a lasting impression. Behind that gentle smile and understanding gaze lay a life illuminated by the spotlight, but also tinged with silent struggles that few knew about. Born in 1928 in Minneapolis and raised in an intellectual family, Anne loved the stage from a very young age. But her journey to stardom was never easy. After studying at Stanford and working on music programs, she had to work hard to make a name for herself at a time when Hollywood offered few opportunities for women over 20. However, Anne never gave up. With her innate talent and unwavering determination, she captivated American audiences with her charming portrayal of Millie Helper in The Dick Van Dyke Show and later as the lovable yet eccentric Yetta in The Nanny. However, her private life was quite turbulent. Her first marriage to writer George Eckstein lasted 15 years and required her to devote all her energy to raising her 2 daughters. It took her many years to find peace with her second husband, actor Guy Raymond, but then she lost him and faced a lonely old age. When cancer silently crept into her life, Anne once again bravely overcame it, just as she had fought every storm before. In each role, Anne shared her heart and real-life experiences. Whether in comedy or guest appearances in popular television shows like Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Law and Order, and SVU, she left a lasting impression as a woman who was both sharp and compassionate, vulnerable enough to be relatable, and strong enough to inspire admiration. On June 14, 2016, Morgan Gilbert passed away in Los Angeles after a long battle with cancer. She was 87 years old. Her net worth was estimated at around $3 million, but her true legacy lies in her performances, laughter, and unforgettable moments for her audience. Charles Robinson as Bud Harper. When Charles Robinson appeared in Home Improvement in 1995 as Bud Harper, he was 50 years old, possessing not only the experience of a seasoned artist, but also the mark of a life full of hardship and extraordinary resilience. As Bud, the strict but responsible manager at Binford Tools, Robinson breathed life into the character with depth, integrity, and seasoned wisdom, reflecting his own true self. Born in 1945 in Houston, Texas, Robinson spent his youth amidst the upheavals of America. He served in the military before pursuing the arts, beginning with stage acting, then moving into television and film. His career truly blossomed with his role as Mac Robinson in Night Court, a character embodying kindness, integrity, and perseverance. Although he only played Bud Harper in a few episodes of Home Improvement, Charles Robinson left a lasting impression as a principled and compassionate manager. In his personal life, Charles Robinson was known as a family man. He had a long and enduring marriage with Shannon Wilkins, his partner through both the brightest moments and the times he battled illness. Together, they raised 2 children, and Robinson always spoke of his family as his greatest source of strength. But behind the spotlight, his life was far from easy. His prostate cancer progressed insidiously, and when combined with septic shock and a sudden heart attack, it claimed his life on July 11, 2021. He passed away at the age of 75, closing a chapter in a life of dedication and sacrifice to the arts. His net worth at the time of his death was estimated at approximately $4 million. Aileen Brennan as Wanda. When Aileen Brennan joined Home Improvement in 1992 as Wanda, she was 60 years old, bringing not only the prestige of an Oscar, Golden Globe, and Emmy nominee, but also the strength of someone who had overcome life's deep wounds with resilience. As Wanda, the lovable and quirky neighbor, Brennan brought to the character a charm, warmth, and intelligence that reflected her own personality. Born in Los Angeles in 1932, Aileen Brennan was raised in an artistic environment from a young age. Her mother was a silent film actress. She soon found her passion in theater and musicals, and later rose to prominence in Hollywood thanks to her innate talent. From The Last Picture Show and Private Benjamin to Clue and Murder by Death, Brennan has consistently proven herself to be one of the best supporting actresses of her generation. She possessed a rare talent for transformation, making audiences burst into laughter one moment and then silence them with emotion the next. While her career flourished, her marriage was fraught with difficulties. Brennan married British poet and photographer David John Lampson in 1968, and they had two sons, Patrick, who later became a basketball player before transitioning to acting, and Sam, a singer. But the marriage ended in separation, leaving Brennan with another heartbreak and the burden of facing health and mental challenges alone for years. Behind the fame lay a life full of tragedy. In 1982, Brennan was involved in a horrific accident, struck by a car on Venice Beach shortly after having dinner with co-star Goldie Hawn. The accident left her severely injured, breaking her leg and forcing her to take a 2-year break from performing. It also marked the beginning of her long, silent battle with painkiller addiction. Furthermore, in 1989, she fell on stage during a performance of the musical Annie, exacerbating her old injuries. In 1990, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, beginning a painful yet hopeful journey of treatment. Despite everything, she was 80 years old. Her net worth at the time of her death was estimated at around $5 million, the result of a lifetime of dedication to film, theater, and television. Rodney Dangerfield as himself. At 76, when Rodney Dangerfield made his guest appearance in Home Improvement as himself, he delivered not only his signature humor but also the aura of a legend. The moment the audience heard the line, "I'm not respected by anyone," they recognized him instantly. His oversized suit, red tie, tired eyes, and self-deprecating, slightly bitter lines. But few knew that behind that image lay a life filled with unspoken sorrows. Born Jacob Cohen in 1921 in New York, Rodney grew up in a family lacking love. His father, an entertainer, was rarely home, and his mother was so cold and distant that Rodney once said, "My mother never hugged me, never kissed me, never told me she loved me." Worse still, as a child, he was abused by a cruel neighbor. Rodney's path to comedy was as bumpy as his childhood. At one point, he left the entertainment industry to sell aluminum cladding to support his wife and children, later jokingly saying bitterly, "I quit acting and nobody knew where I went." But his passion for the stage drew him back. With his scruffy appearance and stories of a man never respected, Rodney conquered America, from Las Vegas stages to films like Caddyshack, Back to School, and Easy Money. But behind the laughter he brought to audiences were sleepless nights, struggles with depression, loneliness, and the ghosts of his childhood. He turned to cannabis as a form of self-medication, using it for nearly 60 years. In his later years, illness struck repeatedly, and he underwent heart surgery, brain surgery, stroke, and fell into a deep coma. However, even before the surgery, Rodney retained his wit. "If all goes well, I'll be in the hospital for a week, otherwise about an hour and a half." He seeks stability but rarely finds it. Married twice to Joyce Indig, with whom he has 2 children, Rodney's family life has been quite turbulent. It was only towards the end of his life, with his 3rd wife, Joan Child, that he found the peace he had longed for. On October 5, 2004, Rodney Dangerfield died from complications following heart surgery, ending an 82-year life filled with both glory and sadness. His net worth at the time was approximately $20 million. Ernest Borgnine as Eddie Phillips. Few screen faces command such respect from the moment they appear, even for just a few seconds. As Ernest Borgnine, at 75, he took on the role of Eddie Phillips in the film Home Improvement, and audiences saw not only a simple, humorous character, but also the depth of a living legend. Behind that warm smile, sharp eyes, and deep voice lies a life full of glory, but also marked by many ups and downs. Born into an Italian immigrant family in Connecticut, Ernest experienced an incomplete childhood when his parents divorced when he was only 2 years old. He and his mother moved to Italy, where he lived without a father for nearly 5 years. returning to America. Borgnine soon faced a harsh struggle for survival before finding his place in the Navy for nearly a decade, enduring the dangers of World War II and facing death at close range. These experiences later forged the bravery and authenticity of a soldier in his roles. If his private life could be summed up in one word, it would undoubtedly be pain. He married and divorced 4 times, including his famously short marriage to star Ethel Merman, which lasted only 32 days, one of Hollywood's shortest and most turbulent marriages. Fierce arguments and personality clashes turned their home into a battlefield, and Borgnine once jokingly remarked, "Ethel and I, 2 bombs in the same room, are bound to explode." However, amidst the chaos, Borgnine remained steadfast, continuing to dedicate himself to his craft. He embraced every type of role, from hero to villain to grumpy old man, true to his life. Even in his final years, Ernest frequently appeared on screen, from SpongeBob SquarePants to ER and Touched by an Angel. Not for money, but out of love for his profession. He once said, "The audience gave me respect, and that's what I cherish most in life." Ernest Borgnine passed away in 2012 at the age of 95, after a long battle with old age and kidney failure. His net worth is estimated at around $15 million, but the greatest legacy he left behind is immeasurable. It is the characters who live on in the hearts of audiences, and an indomitable spirit that faced life's storms with optimism and resilience. Alex Rocco as Irv Schotter. When Alex Rocco appeared on the small screen in the hit comedy series Home Improvement in 1997, at the age of 61, he carried with him a life full of ups and downs and indelible marks. In the film, he plays Irv Schotter, a memorable but supporting character, embodying the kind of friendly, experienced person audiences might encounter in real life. But behind that gentle smile and distinctive husky voice lies a turbulent past, a life once shrouded in darkness and tragedy. Before coming to Hollywood, Alex Rocco, whose real name is Alessandro Petricone Jr., had connections to prison. As a young man, he became entangled in gang-related cases, even suspected of involvement in a murder during a notorious gang war. These events forced him to leave everything behind and flip a coin to decide his fate. If it landed heads, he would go to Miami. From Tales to California, and starting from scratch, from someone who once lived on the edge between good and evil, Alex Rocco reinvented himself as a true artist. He began by taking acting classes, shedding his heavy Boston accent, and pouring all his pain and experience into his roles. This is what made his iconic portrayal of Moe Greene in The Godfather in 1972 a true legend, a villain whose soul reflected Rocco's own life. Behind the glamour lay the final years of his life filled with pain from pancreatic cancer, compounded by the loss of his beloved wife, Sandy, who had also died from the same disease. But above all, Alex Rocco lived an extraordinary life. From sin to redemption, from darkness to light, he left behind an artistic legacy worth approximately $5 million and a legend of extraordinary mental strength. Through the character of Pete Bilker, played by Mickey Jones, amidst the cheerful atmosphere of the Taylor family, the image of Pete Bilker, a kind and humorous construction worker, left a special impression on viewers. When he first played Pete in 1991, Mickey Jones was 50 years old, carrying with him a life full of challenges and successes. Born in 1941 in Houston, Texas, Mickey Jones loved music from a young age. His youth was filled with drumming, sleepless nights performing, and the invisible pressure of the big stage. He toured with Bob Dylan during those historic years, facing boos and jeers from audiences when Dylan dared to bring an electric guitar onto the stage. He also witnessed Dylan's near-fatal motorcycle accident, a turning point that ended Mickey's music career and led him down a new path. Acting. On screen, Mickey Jones made his mark with roles such as Chris Farber, Ham Tyler's loyal partner in the science fiction series Vi, and Brian Tooley O'Toole, Chris Stevens' mysterious deceased mentor in the hit episode Heroes of the Northern Exposure series. He gave his characters a rugged appearance, a warm voice, and sincerity that shone through his eyes. But behind those smiles lay a life full of ups and downs and hidden sorrows that he always kept secret. In his personal life, Mickey was a devoted family man. He lived happily with his wife, Phyllis Jean Starr, for decades, raising their children and maintaining a simple home despite the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. But even that happiness couldn't erase the pain of feeling his strength waning day by day. Mickey Jones had battled diabetes for years, a protracted fight that gradually took him away from the spotlight. His battle with diabetes became a protracted ordeal, his final years spent in hospitals and on medication. Mickey passed away on February 7, 2018, at the age of 76, leaving an estimated net worth of $3 million, a reward for years of dedication to both music and film.